stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
Welcome to the heart of Dixie and the Richmond International Speedway for round number 7 of the Ricmotech Truck Series presented by Extreme Scoring. I'm Tony Trapasso. He's Dave Notispaw. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Tuesday evening. And Dave, I don't know about you, but this is one of my favorite tracks. And this car track combination should give us some pretty solid racing tonight.
Some short track racing, and man, you gotta love it. Richmond Raceway. So many great things that can happen here. A challenging track for these drivers. Excited to see what they can do.
It absolutely is. We're going to be under the lights before all is said and done here this evening. Practice session. The drivers' meeting just ended. Practice session picking back up here for the next 2.5 minutes. But let's get right into it and take a quick look at our weather conditions coming into tonight. Excuse me, you see them there on the left hand of your screen. About 7:45 in sim time right now is 3-mile-an-hour winds, pretty negligible. 72-degree ambient air temperature, partly cloudy skies, 75-degree track temperature, which is going to continue to fall as the night wears on. Partly cloudy skies, 51% relative humidity, which means that this track is going to be bad fast tonight. And you're going to have to loosen the truck up compared to what we're normally seeing here. do need to thank our good friends over at Extreme Scoring. If your league is looking for a place to set up your league's points, and let's face it, there's another server out there that will host points, but you've got to know coding to get your points in there properly, and the interface is just out to lunch, in my personal opinion. But more and more leagues right now are going over to extremescoring.com and setting up their points. They also have their own paint program, so if trading paints and you don't get along normally, try the extreme scoring paint program for your league, and I guarantee you're never going to have another problem with paint showing up properly. But it's such an easier interface with the points system on extreme scoring, simply because you can set up your season however you want it to be set up. You want a couple of one-off races where you run heat races, so no problem. You want to give points for those heat races, we can do that. You want to set up your playoff system any way you choose to. If you don't want a playoff system, that's fine as well. But extreme scoring is one of the best places to move your points to. And as we get ready to click on over to qualifying, let us hear from our good friends over at Ricmotech.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
As qualifying starting to get underway, it looks like Justin Lemke going to be the first one to start rolling it. Let's see, we've got Josh Wren out on track. We've got a relatively short field tonight. I'm counting only 13 haulers in the infield, which may not sound that exciting, but you get 13 drivers that know what they're doing around this joint, and the house will be a rockin', that's for sure. Lemke, the first one to lay time, as we're watching Chris Thorman right now. Let's see how long that 21.94 is going to last. Josh Wren jumping up to second quick so far. About half a second off. Thorman goes a half second off. The man, the myth, the legend, Mike Rominger, out on track right now as well. Ed Morris in the primetime number 7. He is on his first flyer down the backstretch with a good head of steam. As a matter of fact, Morris just went purple in the first sector of the track and goes purple in the second sector right to the top of the pile. Ed Morris, 21.70. David Calo goes up to second quick as Caldwell jumps up to third. Rominger now up to second, and everybody still has their second lap to lay down. Let's take a look at what Morris's lap's going to do. To the line, a little bit slower. Let's take a look at what Rominger's sprint to the line is going to look like here. Caldwell's on a ripper. Michael Thwaites jumps up to third quick now. Chad Osborne here as well in the extreme number 24. Let's get back up to Thwaites as he's coming around for his second flyer in the books. Thwaites up to second. Sean Corcoran out on track right now. Still waiting on Jeremy Rigney and Kerry Cleaver to actually post times here in the qualifying session. So we got Corcoran out on track right now. See him kind of tiptoeing through turns 1 and 2, making sure that he keeps the double deuce off the wall. See what Rigney's going to lay down here in the Dark Horse 41. Corcoran goes up to second quick. Corcoran does not improve on his second lap. Let's take a look at what Rigney can lay down here. Up to sixth. Not too shabby. Josh Wren just getting some last-minute practice session in here. And Dave, real quick, do you you've driven this track recently, right?
I have driven this track several times throughout my career. Not so recently in the trucks, but in the Cup cars, I can tell you there have been what feels like a ton of changes coming through 1 and 2. Of course, you have that wall right to your outside, the narrowing of the track. Certainly very challenging. And then, of course, in 3 and 4, you're looking to get that speed back. You're slowing down and then trying to speed back up as quick as you can. Definitely some chance to spin the tires, lose some tires on both ends of this track. And it's just a driver's track, right? You come around the front, and most tracks you're going down a straightaway. Here at Richmond, you're in a turn for the better part of 3/4 of this racetrack, and then of course the only real straight stretch that you're seeing is down that back straightaway. So really provides a challenge for these drivers, and I'm excited to see what they can do with it.
Absolutely. As we're watching Josh Wren right now, just continue to turn a few laps. Looks like Kerry Cleaver has presented on pit road, just he hasn't brought the car out yet. And you can see just what Dave was talking about there, where you kind of got to tiptoe through 1 and 2. Squeeze the trigger easy so you don't spin the rear tires. Burp going into 3, and then pray coming out of 4. Well, David, we're doing 125 laps under the lights here tonight. What are your expectations?
For the entire race, I expect these drivers to be on top of each other like we've seen the last couple of weeks. Especially with a shorter track, I expect these drivers to kind of have to maneuver around each other a bit more here. 125 laps, I expect these drivers to make 3 to 4 stops, depending on how the fuel strategy kind of plays out. And certainly with Richmond being the way that it is, I think it will be a much more tire-dependent stop than a fuel-dependent stop here. All coming down to that driver's comfort level. How much am I sliding these tires? How much am I really leaning on them heading into those turns?
I think you're absolutely right, because when iRacing rolled out the latest tire model, it completely changed how a lot of cars get around this joint. Setups that would work or were working for the previous few seasons, completely out to lunch. Zero grip, zero, you don't have that feel. And, when I say feel, you'll hear a lot of drivers in the real world say, it feels like the car is in the track nicely, or it feels like the car is not in the track. And what they mean by that, if you have the maximum grip that you can mechanically, you're going to be comfortable in the car. Some tracks, you got to take a little bit of that away to get the car fast. And, there's an old adage, at least it used to be an old adage, loose is fast and on the edge of out of control. Well, there's a a razor's edge for how loose you should get a truck.
And it certainly goes with any of NASCAR's vehicles, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see it in the Xfinity Series, the Cup Car, the Truck Series. Doesn't matter. Everybody's trying to find that fine line where the driver's still comfortable and can say, "Yeah, I really feel like I'm in the track. I'm attached to the track, and everything feels good." And then other weeks you hear drivers come over the radio, "Hey, man, this thing's screaming loose right now. I don't know if I can keep it under control. I'm sliding all over the place." Or you go the opposite way and, "Man, I just feel like I'm driving a boat. I can't turn. I've got no feel in the car." So definitely getting that set up and trying to find the speed where they can. But there is that fine line that drivers have to watch.
Well, what I always found was, it's when I was trying to set up cars for other people, I would try to make the car comfortable coming off the hauler, and then we can find the speed. Because if you go the other way, you ever lose that driver's trust as a crew member, forget it, you're not getting it back. They will never trust you again. And all it takes is one oops. But qualifying getting ready to wind on down here. It doesn't look like anybody else is going to present. Cleaver going to just elect to take shotgun on the field, as that is going to about do it. Do need to thank Greg Wood for being over in race control this evening, being a huge help to keep everyone posted and whatnot of what is going on. As here we go. Tonight's starting grid, as there we go. Ed Morris setting quick time 21.69 with a 5. A full 10th to the good over Sean Corcoran. That is row number 1. Row 2 is going to see Michael Thwaites and Chad Osborne. Row 3, Nick Caldwell and Jeremy Rigney. Mike Rominger and David Calo in row number 4. Row 5, Justin Lemke and Adam Capps. Row number 6, the last 2 trucks delay times in qualifying, Josh Wren and Chris Thornton, with Kerry Cleaver starting shotgun on the field in 13th. 13 trucks scheduled to roll it here tonight. 125 laps the scheduled distance. And Dave, I just something electric in the air tonight. I don't know what it is.
13 drivers, short track racing,
Under
trucks
the lights,
ready to go. Seeing these guys run under the lights. Cool track temps. So these trucks should be fast. They should have lots of grip. Should make for an exciting race. Lots of movement. I expect to see going on with these drivers battling and the track being a little bit tighter than we've seen over the last couple weeks. So can't wait to see what they can do with it.
Absolutely looking forward to it. Just waiting on Chris Thorman to jump in his ride on. There we go. Now we've got everybody. As the pace car starts to fire it up, you can see that we've got a Chevy and a Ford on the front row, a Chevy and a Toyota on the second row, and pretty evenly mixed group here. Maybe a little bit to the Chevy heavy side. 3 Fords, 4 Toyotas, and the rest are bow ties. So, a couple things to make note of here tonight is the biggest one is going to be it's a 70% fuel fill. So we're looking fuel right around, I would say, lap 45-ish. But as you mentioned, David, these guys are going to be begging for tires well before that mark.
Begging for tires, they will. From my experience of racing here at this track, I've always found that well before my fuel is out, at least in the Cup cars, I am begging to come in and grab another set.
Absolutely. As the light's getting ready to go out on that iRacing pace car, Morris going to have the button. Geico restart zone is in effect. So everybody getting ready to fire these things off. Again, 125 laps scheduled distance here tonight. Not too shabby of a night. Relatively short field, but you know what? I'll take it. As field working its way down the only straightaway on this track. Pace car starts to pick up a little bit of pace. The only thing that's left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab a cocktail because it's time to get it on in the great state of Virginia. Race fans, it's show time! Morris getting a good getaway. Corcoran looking to the inside, Thwaites looking to the inside of Corcoran, coming through 1 and 2. The only one who's single filed out right now is Ed Morris, as everybody else still 2 by 2 by 2. Thwaites up into second. Corcoran now has to deal with Caldwell. These guys are picking him up and laying him down early as we're already on lap number 2. And we had one of them just get yeeted. That was Josh Wren. That was a shot. Let's go back and take a look at what just happened to Wren as we stay green. Here you see the Dago green number 14 on the low side. Oh, a little on throttle looseness. That was a shot.
We talked about it earlier. Drivers have to keep in mind that limit and where they can get that traction as they come through these turns. Certainly going to have to keep an eye on that for the rest of the race, and drivers are going to make a mental note of that early throttle costing Wren a couple of big positions early.
Well, he had to tow that back to the pits to get some repairs done. As right now we're watching the battle between Osborne in the 24 and Corcoran in the 22. Now Corcoran's got to stop the hemorrhaging because he's already fallen 5. As Rominger gets by him, he's finally able to slot in somewhere. But, I mean, losing 5 this early, yeah, I mean, we're doing 175 laps, but still, that's insane.
Definitely not a great thing to be losing spots early, but if you can't slot into that line, there really is just that one preferred line here at Richmond going around. Driving anything else just so rough on the vehicle, trying to get the throttle and the timing right. Certainly slotting in is going to help him, and then taking opportunities, making that pass where he can.
Well, what most people don't really realize is the best way to go through 1 and 2 is late apex. You hear that term used a lot on the road courses, and that's really what you have to do to get the run down the back straightaway here. Is late apex turn 1. I mean, you're almost the middle of 2 before you're actually banging the apex, and then just drive it straight off into the entrance of 3. But a lot of guys don't realize that. And if you're trying to do that, you got somebody get a little antsy and they just send it up your inside going into 1, at least one of you is going to be digging your car out of the wall.
100%. And I think it has to do with the way the track is shaped. With that front stretch being a curve, drivers can't really set up the greatest coming into turn 1. You really have to hit that late apex, as you said, to take advantage of that straightaway that you're finally seeing on that backstretch heading into 3 and 4.
From the looks of it, Lemke's trying to do that. He's trying to do it at both ends of the track. 3 and 4, you can get away with an earlier apex, but if you try to follow that yellow line from the entrance of 1 all the way to the exit of 2, you're going to be in trouble later on. As now, here comes Kilo up the inside of Corcoran. And you got to wonder, Sean Corcoran throw the wrong set in the truck for the race?
Kalo slotted up to 7th. Corcoran now back down to 8th, losing 6th position so far. Have to wonder if there's a bit of strategy, maybe saving some tires here, knowing these guys might run them off early.
Yeah, that's absolutely a good point. Is this track very similar to Darlington? With the summers that they get here in Virginia, the sun just bakes this track, and grip can be at a premium on a lot of times. And I think you just hit the nail on the head right there, Dave, because you want to save early if you can, because you'll have time to make it up as this race wears on. As we're currently looking at Chris Thornton, as he's kind of stalking Justin Lemke right now. Lemke has the final spot in the top 10. And here comes Josh Wren out of pit road, kind of just limping that truck around just to get laps. And I got to commend him for that.
Every lap counts, gain some experience. You're never out of it. Somebody else might have an issue later on where you can gain a position or two. So certainly commendable there. But as we were talking about with the track and the tire wear, even though the lights are down here and the track is cooling off, as you mentioned, this track gets so warm during the day. There's still plenty of heat there in the surface itself. So plenty of opportunity to eat some rubber away on those tires.
Oh, there absolutely is. But, the good news is this is not a new surface at Richmond. It's an older surface, so all of the sharp edges, the extremely sharp edges anyways, on the paving... we've got problems on the backstretch.
Osborne into the wall there. Looks like he collected the number 4 of Rominger.
They get both those trucks sorted back out. Let's take a quick look here at what did happen. Here they are coming to the stripe. And you're going to see the 24 kind of get tight on the corner exit. Looks like he didn't have any air getting to the front of that truck, and just washes up the track. And Rominger had a run, didn't realize that Osborne was going to be bouncing off the wall that violently. Let's see what the good old eye in the sky picked up here. There you see Osborne, the 41, directly in front of him. With Jeremy Rigney. He's going to get the run on Rigney. Rigney's going to slam the door. And then you see the front end just wash right up the track there. Bounces off the wall, and Rominger just a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time for the number 4 machine, but doesn't look like the damage should be too bad for that number 4 machine, as he was able to back it into that inside wall. 24 having damage on both sides there.
Yeah, they both clattered that inside wall pretty violently, though. This is what Rominger saw. Osborne gets a little bit loose in, chases it, and just boom. Relatively light contact with an inside wall. That shouldn't affect Mike too much. As Osborne spent an extended amount of time on pit road, Rominger back out on track, able to stay on the lead lap, so that's the good news.
Osborne possibly taking advantage of the slower pacing lap times to get as much of that damage repaired as he can, hoping that there might be some later cautions to then get those laps back later.
Well, as clattered as that truck is, I don't think he had much choice. Unfortunately, both he and Josh Wren now multiple laps down. Osborne only 1 lap down, whereas Wren is going to have to hope for a lot of cautions to get anywhere back into contention. So Rigney, Kalo, and Lemke all electing to stay out. The rest of the field all came down for 4 in fuel. So that's interesting.
Making some stops, grabbing some tires. I did notice there on that run, and we'll have to keep an eye on it, that lap times did fall off about half a second or more, even in that short run that we had. So drivers definitely seeing the effects of tire wear here, and definitely have to keep an eye on how far they fall off on these older tires versus the newer tires now of the trucks behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to want to keep your eye on Nick Caldwell, who did win the battle off pit road. That's the 13 on the outside lane. He has the freshest tires in the top 5 right now. Both he and Ed Morris on the fresh shoes. The 3 trucks in front of them, not so much. As they come down the back straightaway one more time, pace car getting ready to peel on off. This time Rigney has the button. Geico restart zone again in effect. Good news for Rigney, he does have his Dark Horse teammate behind him. The bad news is they're both on old tires. Into the restart zone, rolls into the trigger, and we are back underway just like that. 22 laps in the books.
Even on slightly older tires, Rigney having no problem getting the power down there, jumping out to that lead, getting that single file on the first row there. 2x2 behind him as the 13 of Caldwell goes to the inside of Below, taking away that second position, is now eyeing for a spot to grab that first place spot.
And it looks like he's going to try to do it the hard way on the outside. That's going to pinch Rigney off, coming off a 2, and there you go. Fresh tires just like that. Caldwell with the nose out front. Rigney battles back, though, sending it into 3. And he's in trouble now because he's got a very hungry Ed Morris behind him as well. Caldwell up to first, Rigney back to second, Morris up to third.
Caldwell saying, you know what, it might not be the preferred line, but I've got the fresh shoes. I'll take it outside. Certainly paying off for him here, as it now looks like Morris is looking to the outside of Rigney. Not quite able to edge him out this lap, but he's certainly going to keep eyeing that, knowing that Caldwell was able to pull it off.
Well, the thing is, with the fresh shoes, Morris is able to go so much deeper into turn 1 that it's pretty much academic coming off a 2. And here we go, almost 3 wide behind him. Oh. Calo is looking to the high side, Rick, and he wisely backed out of it, realizing weight on the fresh tires was on his way. Now here comes Calo trying to pinch off Rickety. Old tires on old tires, a little Chevy on Toyota action there for 4th.
Drivers certainly taking advantage of new tires here, but they have to keep in mind these few drivers here that are out on old tires aren't going to have quite the same handling they are. Seeing these trucks get extremely close, and I've seen a couple of wobbles, especially coming off the exit of 2.
Even when you do have good tires, fresh tires, up to temperature, it is so easy to overcook the exit of 2 that, yeah, you're right. The way that these guys are running right now, I'm white-knuckled. As Corcoran looks to the inside of Lemke, Corcoran again on the fresh tires in your highest running Ford right now in 6th and looking to get 5th as he's got that's Adam Capps in the 2 being scored as the 16, so interesting things going on there. This is why we don't let tech officials drink before handing out the transponders. Rominger looks to the inside of Lemke now. And, I think, David, you're absolutely right. Lemke's showing almost no signs of having been in Iraq.
Certainly doing what he can there. That's that machine sporting a little bit of a spoiler bend, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his handling too much, as Rominger's driving around as almost as if nothing happened.
That's exactly what he's doing, and he's already back into 8th and looking for 7th as he works the inside of Capps going into 1. Capps gonna do his best M&M impression. One trailer park girl goes around the outside, right? As Capps now picks off Corcoran and looking for a twofer. Caps gets by Rigney, and just like that, Caps up into the top 5. And coincidentally, also your biggest mover in the positive direction tonight, sitting +5. So,
taking those positions, taking those passes where he can get them, but make no mistake about it, that number 4 machine of Rominger also looking to gain a couple of positions here, work his way up towards the top 5 as he's battling on the outside of the 17 machine there.
Oi. This is going to get interesting as the 4 Rominger works by Rigney in the 41. The double deuce of Corcoran works up the inside now. Unfortunately, Rigney had to leave the door open as Rominger was there. And now those 2 Dark Horse trucks are starting to fade fast. Something happened to the 2. Adam Caps just had it all wrong. Let's go back and take a look at the previous lap. Take a look at what did happen to Caps, because you can see he was in front of that group, then he was behind them. Caught the apron, back end starts to wash out, and he has to chase it. That could have been disastrous. So we're back live.
Had to chase it and lost a little bit of speed, but able to keep it straight. Driver's able to avoid him, so props there. Some great heads-up driving to know that a driver was having some issues.
So one thing I love about the guys that run in this league is they have a lot of racecraft and know when to push it, when not to push it, and what to watch out for. They're not just steering wheel holders. These guys are drivers. As we're checking out the battle for 8th between Sean Corcoran, Chris Thompson, and Adam Caps. Those are 24. Chad Osborne right behind him. And it looks like Osborne, he's got a little bit of pace back in that Toyota as well. Running very comparable laps to the trucks he's around right now. As we're almost 20 laps in on this tire run. And, you know, David, you hit the nail on the head earlier. Now we're about 3/4 of a second as the 60 of Thorman clatters the wall coming off the 2. You know, we're about 20 laps in, and you're right. It's about 3/4 of a second of fall off from fast time to last time around.
Driver's certainly chewing into this rubber, and it's definitely going to affect the handling of the truck. You see a couple of slides become more prevalent as they come off of turn 2, especially onto that straight section. Driver's just going to have to learn how to manage that here, as we still have a long way to go and can't be throwing tires on every 20 laps.
No, because that definitely won't work. Used to be able to until they limited the sets you could have. Right now we're watching this 3-truck tango at the front of this field. That's Nicholas Caldwell in the 13 leading the piece. Ed Morris, your pole sitter, sits right behind him. And Michael Thwaite, who started 3rd, runs in 3rd right now, as they are 7.5 seconds up the road from Mike Rominger, who's back into 4th and starting to pull a gap on David Pillow. Meanwhile, Rigney and Lemke, the 2 teammates, go door to door. Lemke backs out of it. That's going to open the door for Corcoran to get to him. Corcoran tiptoes around the outside. Lemke on the inside. So here we go. Morris to the lead. Caldwell left the door open. Thwaites is going to fill it.
Drivers gaining those positions, swapping them up front. Caldwell now having to chase down Morris for the lead there, hoping he didn't burn off too much trying to hold these guys off.
I mean, the thing is, too, you know, when these guys start to do battle like this, that is letting Rominger get back to them. They were better off just running stem to stern and just going. Whereas now Rominger has already clawed back about 2/10 in just the last lap.
Certainly not going to help the lap times as we see Thwaites dive to the inside of Caldwell here, looking to take that 2nd spot away from him. Not quite able to nose it out at the line, but 12 remains side by side with 13 there, as Thwaites is going to look again to the inside and try to get the run coming up onto the back stretch. and then dive again down into 3 and 4. Nope, the 13 is going to edge him out for now, going nose to tail. Looks like they will stay that way as they come back to the line.
They are at that is one of your closest battles on track. The next one is back here between Rigney, Corcoran, and Caps. Those guys have not gotten two shakes away from each other since that green flag has come out. It's Thwaites and Caldwell door to door again through 1 and 2. Sorry, 3 and 4.
Drivers not willing to let this battle go, and as you mentioned, allowing Rominger, who I'm sure is glad to see this battle happening in front of him when he does finally get that little bit of a glimpse of it, gaining just a little bit of time as these guys continue to battle it out door to door. And of course, Ed Morris able to gain a little bit of time and run away from these guys and get a little bit of a buffer.
Yeah, Morris is already a second up the road as Rominger has already clawed back 3/4 of a second now. Rominger back. There's Rominger back in 4th. But that battle for second was hot and heavy there for a couple laps. It's Rigney and Corcoran going after each other now. Corcoran finally able to get to the inside of Rigney, and it looks like he's trying to bring Adam Capps with him.
Taking advantage of that low side line and running as tight as they can to each other there as they come out of 3 and 4 down the front stretch and into 1 and 2. Certainly giving each other just enough room, but making sure that they're stealing some air away so that they don't run away from each other too quickly here.
Oh, hang on to her. And that brings out the caution. Adam Capps caught the apron going into 3. That got him a little bit loose. And unfortunately, Lemke nowhere to go. Let's see what the eye in the sky picked up. You're going to see it better here. There's the apron touch. There's the loose. Sorry, that was the previous corner. It's even more pronounced here going into 3. There's a big touch. He has to back out of it. And Lemke nowhere to go. He's just too close to those guys were running. Just unfortunately finishes him off.
Lemke, of course, looked like he was trying to do his best to get him square there, just not quite able to get the tap that he needed to help save Capps. So,
and with that, we are going to
look like those trucks come out too bad.
Absolutely, and with that, we are going to step away, pay a couple bills, and we'll be back right after this.
Ricmotech, high performance sim racing. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in. custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And we are back at Richmond as wholesale pit stops for just about everybody. Only your top three staying out again this time is Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, David Nick Caldwell, all electing to stay out. David Colo and everybody behind him finally coming down for fuel as the lights go out on the iRacing pace car. And that caution was very timely for Chad Osborne as it put him back on the lead lap. Now we're just waiting on... Looks like Adam Kapp spent an extended period of time on pit road. So he is now, looks like 2 laps down. So no bueno for him, but here we go as pace car is in. Morris has the trigger, gets ready to pull it. Into the Geico restart zone they go. And Morris jumps on the loud pedal, and just like that, we are back underway. Caldwell already under attack from Kilo in the 15.
Leader having a big advantage here at Richmond with that restart zone being partially in not a heavy turn, but the slightly curved front stretch there. Giving him just that little bit of a jump over the other guys, not wanting to slam on the gas too early and lose control. Morris able to maintain that control for now. Kolo to the inside of Thwaites, moving up to second.
Kind of peeks to the inside. Morris, though, able to have it well spotted. But the guys that did take tires are starting to make some headway as Sean Corcoran already up into 4th. Caldwell back to 5th. Still plenty of time left in this one, though, Dave. And, you know, you kind of got to figure, oh, we're back on a caution. What? Stage break.
I was going to say, have to think that one was for a stage break. Didn't see anything crazy going on.
Yep, you're absolutely right. So Morris, Kilo, Thwaites, Corcoran, Caldwell, Rigney, Cleaver, Rominger, Thorman, and Osborne getting your top 10 stage points. With that, we are going to step away, pay a couple more bills, and we'll be back right after this.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today. The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And we are back at Richmond, and, well, the strategy's paying off pretty decently. The guys that did come down pit road, most of them anyways, staying out. Kilo, Corcoran, Rigney, Cleaver, and Osborne all staying out. So that puts them in the top 5. Ed Morris and company, who didn't pit, all came down for 4 and fuel. Except for Justin Lemke, he came back down to top off the fuel tank, as did Mike Rominger. Adam Capps still a lap down. Josh Wren still multiple laps down. Matter of fact, just shy of 30. So, lights go out on the pace car. Kalo going to have the button. Rigney to his outside. Corcoran right behind him. This is about to get good. Speaking of good, we're about to see how good that 2014 is at damage repair, as Osborne was out of it a couple laps ago, now back on the lead lap, running in 5th, and he was showing some pace before the caution flew.
Pace car down, 15 getting ready. Down and away they go, and 15 taking off, no problems there, getting out to a great jump for the lead as trucks 2x2 behind him, certainly battling for spots.
They are at that and getting it sorted out relatively quickly. And how about that? Your biggest mover right now is the driver of the number 69. That is Kerry Cleaver. After starting shotgun on the field, currently running in 6th. Make that 7th as Caldwell works around the outside of him with Ed Morris. Morris and Caldwell have been working very well together here tonight.
Certainly taking advantage of what they have learned and knowing how they handle their trucks together, getting that opportunity to run up near the front of the field in that clean air. So no surprise to see those two pair up as they jump to the outside to make that good pass there, as they're now hunting down on the bumper of Caldwell here and looking to do some damage.
Corcoran caught on that outside lane as Morris works the inside going into 1. Here comes Caldwell to the inside of Osborne for 3rd. Meanwhile, Kalo and Rigney are about 3/4 of a second up the road in the cleaner air as Caldwell and Osborne still door-to-door for 3rd. Finally, Caldwell gets the clear. Osborne's going to slot back into 4th. Thwaites working the inside of Corcoran, coming off a 2. Thwaites up into 6th. Now sets his sights on trying to reel back in Ed Morris. As Morris kind of biding his time right now, knows that Osborne's, on a very similar tire strategy. But, like we mentioned earlier about the 4 Rominger, Osborne doesn't look like he's missed a step, Dave.
He certainly doesn't look like anything has happened. You see a little bit of the damage there on the truck, but currently running up in that 4th position. Great damage repair here for the 24 team. Looks like there is no handling issues with the vehicle as Osborne's running some great times, managing to battle in front of Morris there and able to keep him in the rear view.
He is at that as Kilo, Rigney, Caldwell, Osborne, and Morris, your top 5. Thwaites knocking on the door for a top 5. But, we've got 3/4 of a second worth of gap from your top 3 back to Osborne and company, as Kilo on the older tires, Rigney on the older tires, and Caldwell just can't seem to do anything with Rigney right now.
Certainly searching, trying to find a line, but it looks like Caldwell is stuck for now behind Rigney, as Rigney just appears to be keeping an eye on that rear view. Anywhere Caldwell goes, it seems like Rigney is right there in front of him before Caldwell can get to that opening.
Yeah, Rigney's doing a masterful job at driving that truck right now. Keeping the newer tires behind him as Osborne gets completely freight trained by both Morris and Thwaites. He didn't really have a choice in that matter. And now, just like that, suddenly a Wild Ed Morris appears.
Caldwell finally getting it done, making it by Rigney there. Now Morris is hunting down the Rigney's bumper. Looks like Rigney still stuck a little bit on the outside, maybe having a little bit of older tire issues running that higher line there.
Yeah, just a little bit of fall off for Rigney, a little bit more than Caldwell and Morris right now. Is last time by, Caldwell 22.59, Rigney 22.68, and Morris 22.60. Fastest truck on the track last time by, though, was Michael Thwaites with 22.45. We're still watching this battle for third just rage on. Throw a blanket over your top six, basically, as Osborne's starting to fade just a little bit, but still close enough that should something pop up, he can make it happen. And it looks like Jeremy Rigney had problems. Justin Lemke had problems. Looks like he and Adam Capps may have gotten into each other. Both of them limping those cars through the pits. And Lemke just puts it on the hauler. Still watching this battle as now Rigney has caught Kilo. Caldwell starting to stretch his legs out at the front of this piece. Half a second to the good and only 2 laps.
Battle for third quickly turning into the battle for second as Kilo now has a mirror pull of Rigney. Rigney searching for an opportunity here as it looks like he's going to try to dive to the inside heading into turns 1 and 2. Try to get the advantage, get that truck straight enough to get a little bit of draft heading down the back straightaway into 3 and 4 here.
Looks like Kilo might have the rear end starting to step out on him as he starts to apply power. That could be costing him some time there. But he's holding up those guys behind him as Caldwell 22.8 flat. Compare that to the 23 O's for everybody behind him. And it's, oh, don't do it. Morris looked like he was thinking about making it 3 wide. Yeah.
Looking for any advantage he can get. Was thinking about going to the far inside there. Must have thought better of it and checked up just enough.
Still door-to-door for second. Kalo on the high side, Rigney on the low side. And now Morris working the outside with Kilo. And David, I don't know about you, but
certainly seen a lot of each other.
Absolutely. I don't know about you, but this is some of the best racing I have seen at Richmond in a long time.
It is phenomenal watching these trucks get as close as they have all night long. New tires, old tires, doesn't matter. These drivers really battling for every position they can. I can say that most leagues would certainly struggle to race as close as these guys have all night long, and remain relatively caution-free as far as cautions for cause. There certainly would be a lot more with other leagues.
There would be, and it's refreshing to see, that these guys are racing hard, they're racing close, but they're not wrecking each other. They're not using each other up every lap. And a lot of that has to do with respect. These guys all respect one another. As now Thwaites picks off Kilo. Kilo back to fourth, Thwaites up to third. As Rigney starts to fade a little bit. Thwaites, here comes Kilo back on Thwaites, and not going to make it happen on the high side. Not this late into a tire run. As we're about 26 laps into this current fuel run, and fall off now is up to almost a full second.
Driver's going to have to start searching, finding some lines where they're comfortable, getting off that low line there a little bit. Those tires really screaming, really starting to get warm at this point, starting to lose that good, nice, fresh rubber. And just moving a lane or two up sometimes can get you back in that comfort zone, really feeling like you're in the track, but it will certainly have drivers looking underneath you as you see the 4 of Rominger diving under the machine of Osborne there.
And
slow truck up top on the back straightaway.
Yep, that was the 14 of Josh Wren getting up and out of the way as we've got a battle for the lead. Morris on the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies, getting it done.
Taking that run where he could get it. Morris to the point now with Codwell chasing. Waits close behind Codwell now. Looking to grab that second place spot away from him. Looking to the inside here as we come down that front stretch and into turns 1 and 2 here.
In that top 3, as hard as they're fighting with each other, they're still pulling the gap on David Calo in 4th. As now Calo is under heavy pressure from Rigney coming off a 2.
Calo looks like he's certainly feeling the effects of a little bit older tire as Rigney's looking to the inside of him now. Calo running that second seam line, as I mentioned earlier.
And they are holding up a very angry Mike Rominger right now as, like I said, they're holding him up. He was faster until he caught them. And now he doesn't have an opening. And you can see the frustration in Rominger right now with how he's starting to throw that truck around.
Looking inside, looking outside, looking inside, looking outside, just trying to find which lane's going to open up first so he can get through here and start catching it up to those leaders and try to battle his way up to that third, second, first place spot.
He's got pace. He just needs to get open track. Now he's working the outside of Rigney, and he's going to have to pinch Rigney down coming off a 2 here. And, well, that was not too shabby, as now Rominger does have the nose out front. Rigney sends it going into 3. Rominger able to get to the throttle a little bit quicker. Is he going to have a hole when he gets there, though? Just barely.
Rigney coming up behind him, letting him take that low line over Calo. Calo here not really fighting for that low line position as he's comfortable running the outside. Rominger, of course, looking to the inside here, slightly fresher tire and running those quick laps down low, or at least he had been until he caught up to this group, possibly burning a bit of that rubber off now.
Unfortunately, I think you're right, but look who's right behind Rominger again. That is Chad Osborne in the 24 back into this mix. So the 2 guys that brought out caution number 1 back on pace.
Certainly letting all the other drivers know it. Hey, we got our stuff fixed. We want those spots back.
Ed Morris now out to about 3/4 of a second over Michael Thwaites, who's got half a second to the good over Nick Caldwell. Caldwell is another 1.25 up the road from this battle for 4th with Calo, Rominger, Rigney, and Osborne. Rominger to the inside of Calo one more time. Calo happy running that outer lane, not abusing his tires quite as much. And almost identical lap times last time by as Rominger just sends it that time going into 3. And basically told Calo, I'm not going to be denied this one. I can catch those guys. And now he set sail to try to do just that as he's already clawed 3/4 of a second back into Caldwell.
Certainly hunting out of the windshield right now, looking at Codwell up in front of him, seeing if there's any advantage he can still get as he starts to pull away from the bumper of Calo and starts planning his next move, looking up to that 3rd place spot.
Just about to hit the century mark here at Richmond. We're expecting green flag stops to start happening here within the next, I would say, handful of laps or so. And I would expect foreign fuel from everybody. As let's go on board on the roof with, this is what Rominger's seeing as we are on the roof of his truck. You can see just how dancy that 13 of Caldwell is.
Certainly working that throttle coming through the turn here, making sure you're hitting your braking zones and finding the right time to get back on that loud pedal as he's trying to cut down that gap to the 13 of Caldwell in front of him. Just listen to that truck here as he dives into the turn.
And the other
long time off that throttle and then slamming it home as he gets back straight.
Well, the other thing too is Rominger's waiting till that truck is relatively straight before he's pulling the trigger. And when he pulls it, he doesn't burp it. He just pulls it once and calls it good. And just like that, he's closed in about half a second on that 13 of Caldwell. These guys are now a second and a half up the road from that battle with Rigney, Colo, and Osborne. So we go back to that. Those guys are still just slugging it out.
Colo still putting up competitive times on that high line, but Rigney able to get underneath of him there as Osborne now looks to the inside. Looks like Colo will let him by as well. These two drivers will start chasing down Rominger in front of them as that battle for third is going to start heating up here any moment as the 4 machine diving to the inside of the 13 there in turns 1 and 2.
Making Caldwell now drive out the rear view mirror, and that's letting Thwaites get up the road from them. So they're going to have to get this sorted out quickly if they're going to have any shot at the 12.
Certainly have to think, how much do I keep battling, knowing that there should be a pit stop coming up here very, very shortly. I would expect within the next 10 laps, all these drivers should be coming in for some fresh tires and some fuel.
I would say less than 10, considering that last time most of these guys were down pit road was on lap 60. We're working 106 right now, so that's 46 laps. So Rominger gets by Caldwell with some quickness, now sets his sights and trying to reel Thwaites back in. The question is, does Rominger have anything left in that truck to do so? So right now only 2 retirements to speak of. Adam Capps and Justin Lemke have both decided to put it on the hauler. Josh Wren can make up another spot on Capps. He's only about 10 laps out from him now. So as long as Wren doesn't give up, he's got a top 11.
Certainly out there just turning some laps, but never say never. There's a couple more points to be had for Wren today here if anybody else has some issues. So congrats to him keeping that truck out there. I know it's tough, especially when you have so much damage to try to fix, but he's certainly keeping it going here.
Absolutely. The pride of High Point, and you can see just the nose of that truck is a mess. You know what? Let's go on board and see what the gauges are looking like, because generally, if you've been hit that hard, those gauges are going to start to flash red here before too much longer, especially with as much front-end damage as on there. Very easy to crush the oil cooler and the radiator.
Certainly looking like those water and oil temps are up a bit higher than normal, but doesn't look like anything is giving him a warning sign yet as he keeps that truck turning around the track and probably keeping a close eye on those gauges and slowing down when he needs to.
Yeah, absolutely is. That truck's starting to get tight now on the old tires. And David, am I seeing this right? The last time he was down pit road was lap 33.
Yep, it would be lap 33 for him. That means that fuel run here is possibly a little bit longer than we expected, as he's around the lap 80, 82 mark
So roughly
for what he would be running.
closing in on 50 laps under this tank of Go Fast.
Certainly is.
Hats off to him. I mean, that's a, you know, the fact that he's sticking this out when it would have been so easy to just Alt F4 out of this race. Hats off to Josh Wren right now. Meanwhile, Ed Morris up in front, 2.5 to the good over that man, Michael Thwaites, who's got 4 3/4 seconds over Mike Rominger. Nick Caldwell in 4th is another 2 seconds back. Jeremy Rigney is starting to catch Caldwell.
Rigney and, of course, Osborne behind him have been working together for these last couple of laps, catching up to Caldwell here. Certainly hunting down Caldwell as they did with Colo, but not pressing the issue, really burning up their stuff, trying to find that nice even pace, probably trying to maintain those tires, and of course getting that fuel run to last as long as it can as we see the 12 come down here.
You know, Thwaites coming pit side. That's going to promote Rominger up into 2nd, but he's got 6.5 seconds to make up on Ed Morris. So Thwaites, after coming down on 60, decided to be the first one to come down and put fresh shoes on it, as we're roughly 2.5 seconds worth of fall off here after 50 laps.
You certainly have to think, especially knowing how valuable those new tires are, once he starts getting out and laying some lap times down, that it's going to draw at least 3, 4, 5 of these drivers in, knowing that he's going to be catching up quick.
Well, Kilo comes down. Everybody else stays out. And you got to wonder, how much longer is Morris going to stay out? And as you mentioned, the fall off is just immense here tonight. Some of the biggest fall off we've seen is finally Morris is going to come pit side. Is Rominger going to stay out? Nope, Rominger's coming pit side as well. Waste absolutely no time. Heard that the leader is pitting and immediately peeled off. Caldwell, though, stays out. I'm not sure I like that decision, especially with who's behind him.
Still having a 1 lap advantage here, so he's going to probably bring it down pit road this time if he can get there, if not next time, and grab his 4 tires and fuel, knowing that he has a whole lap then to get that truck. As there he goes, just sliding right by that commitment cone. Came pretty close.
He almost caught those water barrels. And it's now Thorman shows the way. Corcoran and Cleaver right there, not too far behind. And Thwaites by the undercut. That's your effective race lead, as everybody in front of him still has to come down for a stop. And he's a good 2 seconds up the road from Ed Morris.
As you mentioned, getting that advantage, it certainly looks like it is all paying off for him right now. Looks like he took 4 in fuel, so have to keep an eye on it, see how that truck runs here.
Thorman coming down pit side. That's going to promote Corp, or not. Thorman just towed. Something just happened to Thorman.
Some big damage there on that machine. Certainly something has happened to him.
Well, here he is coming down the back chute. I think he was trying to hustle it to get it to pit road and just tag the barrels. Yep. Well, oh boy.
A little bit of help from the number 4 machine there.
Immediately towed so we don't go under caution. But yeah, that was a little miscommunication there. And he has put it on the hauler, it looks like. Yes, he has. Meanwhile, that man, 2 seconds up the road, Michael Thwaites, your race leader, as only your top 7 are left on the lead lap, and that's David Glow in 7th, right in front of Thwaites.
Wade's certainly hunting down Polo here, seeing if he can throw him a lap down and certainly keep a couple of these other cars a lap down here if there is a caution, only one of those getting the lucky dog to come back around.
Everybody pretty much on the same tire strategy now, and we're 50 to go. We're almost at you can make it from here territory.
With the way these drivers were driving that last run, I have to think that at least one of them has in the back of their mind, I can make it to the end. Not letting off a whole lot, of course, to save that fuel, save that time, but there has to be one of these drivers in the field that's telling themselves, I have already made my money stop. I am going to run it.
Well, the closest to be able to do it's going to be that man in the double deuce. Sean Corcoran was down on lap 122. Cleaver in the 69 was down on lap 120. Everybody else they were before 120. So they've got to go 27 or more laps. 57 or more laps to get to the natural finish. I don't see that happening on only a 70% fuel fill. This
Certainly
battle for
have
fourth.
to find a way to stretch that fuel, but we'll see how it happens.
Hey, I've seen stranger things this week, such as a Ford winning on Sunday. Anyways, Osborne and Rigney starting to heat things up for fourth. Rigney just stalking that extreme scoring number 24. And again, we do need to thank our good friends at Ricmotech for all your sim racing peripheral needs. Whether you're looking for, as much as just a headset, they've got shifters, replacement wheels, full direct drive setups for you. They can build you a full motion rig. And I had the chance to visit their showroom when I was down in Miami for the real world NASCAR race last season. And I'll tell you right now, some of the rigs that they build are gorgeous. Fit, finish, and performance. There was a couple of times where I forgot I was in a sim rig. It's just they had that real feel to it. But, our good friends at Ricmotech, thank you so much for supporting the Extreme Scoring Truck Series presented by Ricmotech. We got to thank our good friends over at extremescoring.info as well. If you're a league owner looking for a place to score your league stats and you're not happy with the other guys, you need to look no further than Extreme Scoring, simply because the interface is so much easier to use over there than it is on any other of the major timing and scoring websites. And also, they have their own paint program, so if you're not a fan of trading paints, look to Extreme Scoring, because they have a paint program that I happen to love. As we are watching this battle for fourth, still hot and heavy. Thank you for joining us this evening. You were watching round number 7 of the Extreme Scoring Truck Series presented by Ricmotech. I'm Tony Chapasso. He's David Modespa, and thank you so much for making us part of your Tuesday evening. And David, we have seen some amazing action already tonight.
Seen some amazing action. Drivers just door to door, really at times not really even having enough room to put a piece of paper between their trucks. Certainly some impressive racing we've seen so far. Pairs of drivers that just haven't really been able to get away from them, as we're watching one of them here, Osborne, of course, and Rigney just being together for, man, it has to be the last 60, 70 laps here. These drivers really seeing a lot of each other, but giving each other that respect, gaining a position here, of course, taking it back a little bit later on. Got to give it to these guys, really holding it together well.
They are at that. They're keeping their minds and wits about them. And don't look now, but they are starting to inch ever closer to the number 4 of Mike Rominger. Part of me thinks Rominger might be trying to go into fuel conservation mode, as he was last down on 118. I mean, that's right on the cusp of you can make it territory. And
Certainly, as I mentioned, there has to be that one driver in the field, right? You can't always follow the leader and do the same thing that they're doing. You got to throw a wrench into the strategy somewhere. I think that number 4 machine might be our guy who says, you know what? I've made my last stop. Let's see where we can go.
Well, I mean, if anybody could do it, my money would be on Mike Rominger, multi-time champion. It's hard to bet against him, but only 3 retirements to speak of the 13-truck field. So Thorman, Capps, and Lemke all out. Wren is only 20 laps out from catching Chris Thorman and getting himself a top 10. I mean, after annihilating that truck in the early going, Wren, could salvage a top 10 out of this. Now, granted, it's only a 13-truck field, but he's got the time.
Certainly saying, I've had a bad day, but I'm going to fix the truck. I'm going to turn my laps, and I'm going to get as much as I can out of it. A top 10 finish is nothing to be ashamed of, especially for as much damage as he had on that truck. And then, of course, seeing other drivers struggling and putting the trucks on the hauler, that just has to feel great for Wren, knowing that he can salvage some points out of a bad day.
And he's only 10 laps out from Thorman, so hats off to the entire 14 crew of keeping that truck running, keeping, Josh motivated. And he's coming down now for what should be his money stop. Again, only 20 laps out from Chris Thorman, so hats off to that whole crew. Meanwhile, battle for the lead starting to heat up as Thwaites and Morris have found each other again.
Thwaites, of course, having that undercut strategy, being on a slightly older tire than Morris. Morris trying to find any advantage he can here as he is right up to the bumper of that number 12 machine. Searching to the inside now as we come through 1 and 2, down the straightaway towards 3 and 4. Looks like Morris is going to take the inside. Drives it in deep, able to get it woed up enough to make the turn. Certainly getting back on the pedal here, but it looks like Thwaites will have him at the line as we head to 1 and 2.
It gives Morris plenty of room going through 1, as here comes the 14 of Wren back out of the pits. And just like that, Morris up into the lead. A little bit of skating action coming down the back straightaway, though. That was, on Michael Thwaites as to whether or not they crashed. And Thwaites wisely backed out of it when we saw Morris get squirrely.
Thwaites checking up hard there, but it certainly looked like he was aiming for a crossover-style move as they headed down the back straightaway. Thought better of it, got to the bumper just a little bit too soon, and didn't want to spin that 7 around.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier, David, is the respect being shown here on this track. These guys are running each other hard, but they're running each other clean, and that's refreshing.
100%. Certainly would not see many other leagues able to keep this long of a green flag run going, and for as close as these drivers are racing, it really is some heads-up action that these drivers are seeing being so close to each other. So props to the drivers keeping their heads in the game and, of course, not ending somebody's night early.
We have been clean and green since the stage break back on lap 80. As we've got some battling starting to heat up back here for 4th as Rigney has caught Osborne again. A little Toyota on Toyota crime now, just outside your podium. Rigney's had some pace tonight as well.
Rigney, of course, having some great pace all night long. That 24 machine getting in some trouble early, certainly getting it patched up as good as they could, getting it back onto the track and getting some pace back in it. So these two laying down some times, of course, battling each other here and there when they finally get the opportunity, but nothing to shake a fist at for that 24 machine running in that 4th spot right now.
Especially with as torn up as that truck was when they brought out the second caution between him and Mike Rominger after the 24 clattered the outside wall coming off of 2. Again, hats off to that team as well. But we're now less than 3 laps before Josh Wren moves into the top 10. It looks like David Colo and Sean Corcoran going after each other. And that was Wren on the fresh tires. Not wanting to be involved in that one. Just driving his own race right now. 2 laps and he's back into the top 10. What a drive. Speaking of what a drive, this is Osborne and Rigney still going after each other, working lap 153 of 175. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for making this part of your Tuesday evening. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media. As tonight you're watching one of a triple header. 3 races going on simultaneously, or will be anyways. The other one is the Jack Dowell Simulator and Esports Truck Series as they're at Darlington. And then in just a couple of minutes here, the Western States Racing League is going to go to round 18 at Eldora. And be sure to join us tomorrow night for the Moonshiners League as they go to Darlington. The Dynasty... that's not right. But anyways, we're good through Wednesday anyways, as the Moonshiners Cup Series will bring round number 13 to Darlington. But don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. There's this battle for 4th with 20 to go, starting to heat up as Rigney looks to the inside of Osborne. Osborne gives him the room. And the 14 of Josh Wren, congratulations, sir. You are back in the top 10. What a recovery drive.
Making his way back into the top 10 here, and handful of laps still to go, so keep that truck clean, keep it pointed in the right direction.
Osborne and Rigney going after each other still. Rigney has not made that inside stick yet.
Drivers starting to see the writing on the wall as those laps start ticking away pretty quickly here at Richmond. 41 looking to the inside of that 24 machine, trying to find that slight advantage on that lower line, but on older tires, it certainly looks like the 24 is able to fight back on that outside.
It absolutely does. Osborne on the older tires, able to not pinch that truck off as much, and able to get to the throttle just a tick sooner, as looks like Rigney's going to file back in line and regroup. And now he's going to look to the outside. And that didn't work.
Saw Osborne up there holding some speed, wondering if he could do it himself. So he's going to go hunting for that line on the outside. Of course, 24 seeing that, moving up just a little bit off that yellow line, taking some air away from the 41 there.
They are at that, as here comes Rigney on Osborne again. Osborne able to get a better drive out of 4. Rigney's going to have to try something dramatic if he's going to want to get by Osborne. But we're still 15 laps to go. Still plenty of racing left to do here tonight, as Ed Morris has carved out almost 3 seconds to the good as your race leader. Back to that man, Michael Thwaites. Nick Caldwell must have had problems somewhere, as he is dropping back to 6th and currently sits a lap down to your race leaders. Thwaites in 2nd, trying to get by the 13, or at least use the 13 to help him claw back some time on Ed Morris. And Mike Rominger is 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds now behind them, but he's got another 4 3/4 seconds back to this battle for fourth. So Rominger, we talk about recovery drives. Rominger and Osborne have had probably two of the best recovery drives.
Certainly can't complain about a recovery drive that puts you in third or fourth position here. So these drivers finding that speed, even though they got into a little bit of trouble with each other early on in this race, getting those machines patched up, getting them back up to speed, showing that they have that pace and able to fight back for those positions. We see right now the 24 still able to hold off the 41 of Rigney there.
Yeah, absolutely. Osborne's turned the wick up just a little bit as we're 10 to go, and I still got to wonder, can Thwaites actually make it? He was the first one down pit road on 115.
I took that short pit and certainly got some points for leading a couple laps, but that fuel tank has got to be starting to scream at him here soon. If he can make it, then we definitely under predicted the amount of fuel these guys had in those trucks.
You're absolutely right, and you know, with a lot of leagues that we broadcast going with, you know, 65, 70, 75% fuel fills as opposed to 100%. Now 100%, yeah, they could have made it no problem. But it's when you start doing percentages that it really throws those calculations off something fierce. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk to any of the drivers prior to us going live to find out what we're looking at for an actual fuel run. But with 9 to go, I got to think everybody's made their bed and it's time to lie in it.
Drivers certainly must have made that money stop. Usually if you would have a late race pit stop, it would be somewhere around that 15 to go window at the latest, so you had some time to make back up for it.
Yeah, and you know, nobody came down for a splash and go yet, so you know, maybe they can make it from here. Who knows? If so, I need to go back to math class and figure out my fuel calculations again. Right now, Osborne and Rigney, your closest battle on track by far. The rest of the field pretty strung out, but this battle for fourth has been hot and heavy for about the past 50 laps. As 6 to go. It'll be handshake lap next time by for that man, who just so happens to be behind the battle we were looking at.
Keeping an eye on that fourth and fifth place position as he's sitting back here just ticking the laps away, as he has a pretty decent lead over the second place guy, about 3 seconds up in front of him. And Thwaites, of course, then having a good split on Rominger there, who Rigney and Osborne are trying to chase down as Rigney looks to the inside yet again of Osborne, see if he can get it done this time. Those older tires on the outside, of course, still putting up about comparable lap times to that 41 machine.
Yeah, but they're only 1 lap difference in their tire strategy. But, you know, we're 4 to go. They've got to know that Morris is behind them, and that's why they're turning the wick up now, as it'll be 3 to go this time by. Morris can put it on cruise control from here as he's 2 3/4 seconds up the road, and it looks like he has. He's not really wanting to invoke himself into this battle for fourth. Let those guys solve it between themselves, but he's given himself some room that should something pop off, he should be able to take evasive action. 2 to go, popsicle sticks in the air.
Giving himself some room, but over the last 2, maybe 3 laps, he's lost the better part of a second here, so he does have to keep an eye on that rear view, make sure that Thwaites doesn't come up very quickly on his bumper, but keeping an eye here on Osborne and Rigney battling it out. Looks like Osborne yet again able to hold Rigney off for that 4th place position.
Rigney going to have one final shot at him as we are on white flag. We are racing back to checkers. Morris 2 seconds up the road from Michael Thwaites. Right behind this battle for fourth between Osborne and Rigney. So only your top 5 trucks are going to actually finish on the lead lap here tonight. Coming out of turn number 4, your winner at Richmond, Ed Morris. Michael Thwaites coming out of four, hanging on for second. Rominger crosses for third. Not yet. Here he comes. That's what a 14-second gap looks like, folks. And then this battle for the final spot in the top five. Osborne for fourth. Rigney backs out of it, comes home in fifth. How about that?
Drivers putting on a show, and it looks like our leader here saved enough to have a good celebration here at the line as he starts burning some rubber and laying it down.
He absolutely does. And, we were wondering if Thwaites and Morris were on the same team. Yeah, they kind of are. Primetime 1-2 finish here tonight. As David, I believe you've got our race winner with you now.
Ed, this is David up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, man, I got you.
Hey, great run out there today. That number 7 prime time was fast all night long. You had a great run there at the end. You saw Thwaites run that undercut. Tell me what was going through your mind seeing him come to pits just a couple laps earlier.
Well, I wasn't sure when he was going to pit. We were talking about it on the radio. It come down to just me and him, toward the end there, and we were going to see what happens. And I seen he come down pit road, and I was going to come the lap after him just to try to maintain that gap as much as I could. And I just didn't get through the corner right because that's really tricky getting there on the pit road, and I didn't hit it right. And I was like, I don't want to screw up and hit the barrels, so I went another lap or two, and I was hoping that I was able to run him down, and luckily we had the speed, and I think he kind of wore his stuff off a little bit, and once we got by, it was just clean sailing from there.
Certainly a tough pit road to get on tonight. You mentioned being able to run him down. We saw several drivers here tonight running on some older tires, kind of having to move up a lane. But for most of the night, it looked like you were able to keep that truck nice and low on the track. Were you out there saving some tire at all, knowing that you might have to make some battles to make some moves?
Toward the end there, yeah, I kind of slowed. Once I got a pretty decent gap, I kind of slowed my pace down just a little bit, and then we got behind a couple drivers that were racing there for position at the end, and I didn't really want to get up there in the middle of them, so I kind of just laid back and watched. I had enough of a gap to where I didn't have to worry about Mike getting to me, those last 3 or 4 laps. So. But yeah, I mean, the truck felt good on the bottom. I mean, if you overdrove it, you were going to push up, and that medium line was fast, and it was quick if you wanted to run it. But I think it was at a disadvantage over a longer run if a guy could keep the entry smooth and get the truck to the bottom and drive it straighter off the corner. I think that's where we made up time on the long run.
Certainly. Congrats again on the win. Going to give you this opportunity now to give you some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, appreciate to everybody at Extreme Motorsports, all the staff, everybody here that runs this, our sponsors, Ricmotech, Frank, all those guys over there for all their support, Sim Racing Media, everything you guys do for the race control, for the broadcast, all your guys' support. We wouldn't be here without you guys, so appreciate it. Appreciate all your guys' hard work, and everybody back at Primetime Motorsports, the team. All the guys here racing in the truck series, appreciate everybody still showing up and being here. Thank you.
All right, Ed, congrats again. We're going to send you off to celebrate with your team.
Thanks, man.
And joining me now is the driver who started that whole avalanche going down pit road, Michael Thwaites. Talk us through the final few laps of that race. How much fuel did you have left?
I don't even know, to be honest. I didn't check that, but it didn't say that I was running low, so that was pretty good, I guess.
Well, we were concerned there, considering that was the longest run on a fuel tank that you guys had tonight. But pit strategy almost paid off.
Yeah. I think just me coming in early and wearing my tires out early just hurt me. Ed had the fresher tires. He was able to just pretty much just passed me with ease. So
No, it was only
it was
a
no
3-lap
challenge
difference.
for him. Yeah. It's just the way that this track is. I mean, unfortunately.
Well, again, congratulations on a podium. Strong performance. Prime time 1-2 tonight. Can't be too disappointed in that regardless.
No, very happy with my finish. Happy for Ed for the win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can't win, and what better way to do it than have your teammate win? But
Exactly.
Going into next week, we're doing things up a way differently as we go into the road course at Indianapolis. What are your thoughts going into that
Wait,
hallowed ground?
it's a road course?
Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course.
Damn it, Ed. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've ever run there, so it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Best of luck to you turning right and left next week. More rights than lefts. But
Yeah.
who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate the primetime podium 1-2?
Of course, always Ed for what he does for this league and everything with Extreme. I got to thank my teammates, Primetime, everybody up there at Racing Media, and also Ricmotech.
All right, Michael Thwaites, congratulations on the podium. Best of luck to you next week at the Brickyard.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
And David, I believe you've got the man who had the recovery drive of all recovery drives with you now.
Mike, this is David up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Congrats on getting that podium. What a great recovery drive there, getting into some trouble early on in the race. Has to feel good to make it to the podium. Tell me about making those repairs, especially under some of those caution laps, and getting that truck back up to fighting shape to go grab some of those positions.
Yeah, I think that was key to my finish because, you run around here a lot with damage, you're going to end up blowing up. So I had to get it as best I could on each stop to get, all the damage fixed. So, yeah, it was a rough one.
Certainly had some great strategy there. Saw trucks running very close together all night long, you being very competitive running side by side. Tell me, how nerve-wracking was it going through those turns, being at times within inches of those other drivers?
It's pretty nerve-wracking, I mean, I just try to get it woed down and cut and turn off the corner. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
All right, Mike. Well, congrats again on that podium finish. I'd like to give you this opportunity to shout out some sponsors and give some thank yous.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Ricmotech for sponsoring the league. You guys for broadcasting every week. You do a great job. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody in here does. And all the admin for their hard work. Ed for what he does, and Rick Donathan for the owner of the league. We haven't seen Rick around for a while, but he's still around. So yeah, shout out to him and thank you guys.
Not a problem, Mike. Congrats again, and go enjoy your night celebrating with the team.
Thank you.
And I stand corrected when I said it was a primetime 1-2. It was a primetime 1-2-3. As we've got our finishing results up on the screen right now. Ed Morris, Michael Thwaites, Mike Rominger. We spoke to those three gentlemen. Chad Osborne and Jeremy Rigney gave us some great action in the closing laps here as they battled it out for 4th and 5th. Nick Caldwell coming home in 6th, 1 lap down. Sean Corcoran had problems after the final pit stop. He dropped 1 lap down. David Calo also 1 lap down. Kerry Cleaver coming home in 9th, -2. But we talked about recovery drives with Mike Rominger and Chad Osborne. The Iron Man award tonight definitely goes to Josh Wren. Completely destroyed that truck in the early going to bring out caution number 1. Went 33 laps down and came home with the top 10 just through attrition as Thorman, Caps, and Lemke all decided to put it on the hauler early. But, David, we talk about it all the time, though, that they never say die attitude. And I think Josh Wren tonight exemplified that.
He certainly did, putting that truck back out there. The whole 14 team, of course, making sure that it was up to speed enough to stay out on track and turn those laps. Congrats on getting to top 10. Certainly not a bad night when you start off having that many issues. So congrats to Josh Wren picking up those points where he could find them.
Absolutely. And next week, it's going to be all about doing the same thing as we go to the road course at Indianapolis, the Formula One layout here in iRacing. And, that's going to lead to some hurt feelings, I have a feeling. Simply because that track is not easy to get around on the best of times. And, you put 20 type A personalities out there at the same time, carnage is going to ensue sooner or later. But that is going to about do it for us tonight. David, closing thoughts coming out of Richmond.
Looking forward to how these drivers can handle the road course at Indianapolis next week. As you mentioned, it's a very tight course. The right and left-hand turns where these drivers are normally used to driving some ovals. Hopefully they put in some practice laps this week and give us just as great as a show as they have over the last several weeks here. Racing has been great. Props to all these drivers this league for doing what they do. And, of course, thank you so much to the sponsors for helping put this league on.
Absolutely. We would not be here without the fine folks over at Ricmotech for all your sim peripheral needs. Ricmotech.com is the only stop you need to take. Thank you, Greg Woods, for being over in race control tonight, to be the eye in the sky and the referee at times. He's David Motorspa. I'm Tony Trapasso. Remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that as you walk down the road of life this week until we get a chance to meet again, do me a favor. Don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.